back to the Constitution is going to save us. And we're going to have to deal with these criminals first. I mean, Lindsey Graham, McCain salivating about the idea of using the military on the American people. And they've already been doing it in 100 different ways, but now they want to grab your butt and throw you in the clink forever. So they can then just go about their business stealing everything. And thank God we got more than one Paul. Thank God we got you out there as well. So just amazing. More on that report coming up. Continuing, hundreds of thousands of people have photoshopped different images of the police officer, the college cop who was made over $110,000 a year. Out in California, they got city managers of small towns making $850,000 a year. No wonder we're all going bankrupt. But he just walked by, peaceful people sitting there, and just sprayed them. And the news said, they deserve even more. You know, you don't do that in America. You don't sit quietly on a sidewalk. I mean, hell, they've been breaking anti-abortion activist arms for many years. We cover that in my film Martial Law. But it turns out that he lost his house due to the housing market crash and a bunch of other stuff. So this whole Ponzi scheme has hurt him, but doesn't matter. He still got the enjoyment of just nonchalantly spraying some college students in the face with pepper spray. Again, we stopped caring about freedom, and it left the building. Elvis has left the building. Freedom has left the building, along with all the prosperity. People are like, I don't want freedom. Just give me prosperity. The two are linked. Freedom produces the prosperity. Very, very simple. Continuing. Oh, they took his wedding ring. Isn't that cute? But it doesn't matter. He still gets to, I always said, even though they're going to destroy all these cops' future and their families, they're not going to care, a lot of them. They still get to stomp some heads. But don't worry, the FAA is saying drones could patrol in the U.S. They've been allowing their test flights for a while, and now they're coming out with drones that fire tasers. And that's a great graphic. It's got tasers with little wires on it. Some of them have those. But they've got other drones now that fire these shotgun rounds that taser you. And because there were so many deaths from different electric devices, now they're upping the power even more. Because, you know, killing people's freedom. And now they're going to have weaponized drones over America. Because after all, the Pentagon works for the big mega banks. And they're here to occupy the U.S. You don't just think our military's been used to rob and rape and loot the entire planet and they're not going to get the big prize, America. I mean, you know, they've got special cadres in the military. A lot of the military is awake and informed. They've done special psychological testing, and they've got special cadres. And, of course, the earlier groups that were psychopathic or sociopathic and wanted to crack American skulls and hate freedom, they went and put them in the police departments, and they've almost got their Legion of Evil ready, their brown shirts. And the big gutting of America, you think America's in trouble now. That's just the pig being conked in the head and hauled up by its feet, but it's still alive. Now they got the big knife, and they're walking over to the pig, and they're going, piggy, piggy. And they're just now starting to slide that knife right into the throat. And the pig's kicking and everything, and the government's saying, I'm patriotic. And blood spraying out. They're going, don't criticize. Oh, it's classical tyranny. Sure it is, but it's America. The pig's like, and the yuppies are dancing around going, we're next, we're next. I mean, it's a lot of fun. That man on the street coming up here, though, because we're going to get motivated by a bunch of liars. So we've got those reports. The feds are now more and more just seizing domains of sites that have forums with links to different downloads and things. Some legal, some not. Doesn't matter. Your First Amendment's out the window. And they're announcing that they more and more are going to just shut everything down, even if the corporation claims your copyright infringing on them. By the way, I have a good photo over here. It's the cops spraying the Constitution. Well, look, there are guys sitting there talking about freedom like the protesters. You got to spray them. I mean, unbelievable. Well, there he is spraying Yoda over there. Look at that one. Oh, my gosh, there's no end to it. May the excessive force be with you. Hey, whatever. He likes it. Continuing with that report, globalists had purchased millions of toxic HPV vaccines for girls in the third world. They've been linked to reduced fertility, cancer, autoimmune disorders. But that's okay. now the UN takes your tax money and things that they get, and they're going to run around and inject people worldwide, including every girl in Mexico. And some people argue, well, there are too many people. You know, they're breeding fast all over the world. Folks, they're doing it to everybody. Okay? This is being done black, white, old, young, Americans, Mexicans, everybody. Okay? You industrialize and give people wealth, they stop even having enough kids to replace themselves. We've gone over the studies here. Instead, they keep people in poverty. They have 5, 6 kids, and now you're going to give them shots that just screw them up and give them cancer and autoimmune diseases and kill some people. And the globalists just love abusing people. And it's so sick and it's so evil. And I've told all of the different groups out there, we need victories against Gardasil and Merck. And we need all these groups that are globalist funded. We need the members to wake up to that and get angry and demand something be done. Why do you think the Fortune 500 funds La Raza and all these groups who give them all these political issues? It's so that they can control them and give you some Mexican flag waving business. Because the globalists don't care about that. They want to get rid of all 3 other countries. We need to force groups like La Raza, because there's not going to be any race if you don't stop this. Okay, they're going to sterilize and give a whole bunch of people cancer. So you need to get, and I mean, what groups do we get in America to save girls, period? I don't know. I mean, where are these civil rights groups out there defending what's happening? That's my point. That's my point. I don't want to digress into it, but like we're all obsessed with discrimination and all taught to not trust each other and only trust the government. But then meanwhile, mega banks get trillions of our tax dollars that we've all got to pay back, and they get that as bailout money. We never talk about that discrimination. See, the globalists are masters at framing things so you only look at it from one perspective. Medical mafia using financial leverage to enforce children's vaccinations on poor families. In Australia, the U.S., you name it, they say, hey, you want welfare, you got to, and they've destroyed the economy, so some people have to go on it, or dad dies in a car wreck or whatever, you got to take the shots. It's not the law. They just do it through color of law and fraud. And they give people experimental vaccines as well. If a parent refuses to consent to their child's vaccination to the full schedule, the family would have $2,000+ taken out of their yearly welfare. I mean, there's an example right there. And if you expand to this, California signed the bill 3 months ago or 2 months ago saying they're going to give kids shots there without parental consent. I mean, the government wants to secretly arrest citizens and kill you or torture you. No judge, no jury, no trial. No one knows where you even went. Just the disappearances. And the government in California says, we're going to shoot your kids up without asking you. I mean, this is creep fest, folks. And it's going to get a lot worse. Continuing. See, everybody thinks, though, it isn't happening to them. It's going to happen to you. Everybody's going to be touched by this if you haven't already been. Shifting now into geopolitical issues. We're almost to the man on the street report. Russia threatens to blockade NATO routes, both by land and by sea. Medvedev envisioned possible missile attacks on Poland, Romania, Spain, and Turkey as a means to disable the counter-missile batteries. The United States fails to acknowledge the concerns of the Russian defense officials. Russia's not perfect, but it's not the globalist tyranny. They actually pay people to get married and have kids there because the Russian population's dying off. Just like the West is declining from Japan to the United States. It's the death of the West, as Pat Buchanan wrote. And so I judge by that. You know, at least this slave system wants some more slaves. The globalists just want to get rid of everybody because they've already got it all figured out, they think. And Russia is more and more saying, we're not putting up with this because they know they're being encircled. They've got a fleet there off the coast of Syria. It's getting serious. Now, continuing, an Infowars.com article, but it links to the London Telegraph and others. And this is a Kurt Nimmo report. Libya redux. France and al-Qaeda assist Free Syria army in Turkey, and they just publicly admit they're just pumping al-Qaeda into these countries right now. They've given them Libya, now they're pumping them into Syria, but meanwhile our government says give all your rights up or al-Qaeda will attack you. I mean, it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction. Some people are like, well, how is it? Al-Qaeda's our friend, but we give our rights up because al-Qaeda. Continuing, France overturns ban on GM crops. By the way, the same thing's about to happen with this new regulations with Canada and Mexico on the border. They're about to totally overturn it and force Mexico to take it. And of course, the U.S. is already just absolutely GMO'd out. Cancer rate's the highest. All sorts of new neurological problems. Organ failure the highest. Honeybees dying at the fastest rate. I mean, it's on. It is party time. Party time. And so Monday's ruling cited a failure to establish not only the urgency of suspending genetically modified corn, but also the existence of health risk to humans, even though there's thousands of studies. So who cares what the governments and courts have said? They say in this article, an administrative body. See, because they're under an administrative EU system. It doesn't matter what your country says. We are the New World Order administrative. You're going to eat what we say. You're going to take the shots we say. And you're going to die like we say. You're going to have the army arrest you if you don't like it. Okay, before we get to go to this man on the street piece, it's Yellow Cake. He got caught lying about that and anthrax. That's a little war criminal right there. He actually came out, and we have some of these quotes, demonized the Tea Party and said they're a problem. Oh, free speech is bad. And he also came out and said that the media needs to get with the program and basically lie. Colin Powell, the tone is it's not good right now. In our political system here in Washington, particularly up on the Hill, Congress has become very, very tense in the two sides. Yeah, because crooks have bought both parties and people don't like it. Republicans and Democrats are focusing more and more on their extreme left and right. And we have to come back towards the center in order to compromise and be conned by him. And then we also have the clip, don't we, where he is saying the media needs to help lie and everything? Okay, let's go ahead and play him telling the media, hey, get with the program. They haven't gotten with the program? I mean, they're losing all their viewers, lying for you. Get with the program. Learn to BS the public. Come on, get with the program. They're not loving the criminals anymore. Well, because you're dropping the hammer, crook. I mean, look at that psycho face. It's like some kind of demonic space creature like Newt Gingrich. Let's go ahead and go to the next thing.
And let me say this directly. The media has to help us. The media loves this game where everybody is on the extreme. It makes for great television. It makes for great chatter. It makes for great talk shows all day long with commentators commenting on commentators about the latest little mini flap up on Capitol Hill. So what we have to do is sort of take some of the heat out of our political life in terms of the coverage of it so these folks can get to work quietly.
I get your point about
get to work quietly, running terror attacks on Iran, now admitted, blowing up whole bases, but Iran sits there and takes it, and they're like, good, that's evil that you took it. People are like, I can't believe those Iranians are letting us blow up their cities. They're so evil. Our terror attack on them is horrible that they did that. I mean, you see the craziness of it? Let's go ahead and go to the next clip of him lying in front of the UN about the anthrax. And, of course, they knew at the time these were trucks the British had sold them for pumping up hot air balloons, well, in this case hydrogen balloons, with cameras on them to direct artillery when the U.S. was arming and the Brits were arming Saddam against the Iranians. But the public doesn't know what the Iran-Iraq war, much less where Iran and Iraq is. I saw some Australian news piece where half the Americans they talked to, they said, Al-Qaeda is right here. Should we bomb them? And they had a map of the world, and it was Australia. They're like, yes, blow them off the map. They're like, yes, get them. The public's like, yes, it's pro-America, kill. They're like, how about right here? And it was like Russia. Yes, get Al-Qaeda. How about here? Yes. I mean, you could tell them, you could show them the moon, a photo of the moon. Al-Qaeda's there. And they'd be like, and they're like, but Al-Qaeda's been given Libya by the government. Well, that's good. I like that, Al-Qaeda. Again, good little mentally ill runts begging to be slaves. I know I just keep going and going here, but let's go ahead and go to the man on the street. And then I'll come back and make some brief comments as we go to break with this amazing piece that John Bown and Darren McBreen put together at the Get Motivated by the Slimeball, Mr. War Criminal. We're going to play that clip first, and then the Giuliani, and then the McChrystal and the rest of them. Here it is.
But how much longer are we willing to put up with Iraq's noncompliance before we, as a council, we as the United Nations say, enough, enough. The gravity of this moment is matched by the gravity of the threat that Iraq's weapons of mass destruction pose to the world. One of the most
Hit
worrisome...
pause, back it up. I want to show these guys on screen. You can see the CIA director behind him who would instantly get